Hello Panda Warriors and welcome to another video. So something I played around the concept of doing more often is just these talking kind of videos where it's not a short story, it's not me playing some sort of game, it's just me talking and hanging out with you guys. So I thought that's what we would do today. Before I get started, please make sure you're pressing that thumbs up button to show me your support. Also press and subscribe if you have not already. I recently reached 700 subscribers here on YouTube, which was absolutely amazing. So thank you to all of you who are subscribed. If you're not, what are you doing? Press that subscribe button now. All right, so as you can probably tell by the video, today I want to talk a little bit about Pokemon. So I've always been a bit of a Pokemon fan, whether that was in my youth, playing it on my DS, and even now, while I don't actively play any of the new Pokemon games, I enjoy, watching all the trailers that come out and seeing how people are reacting to them. My very first Pokemon game was actually Heart Gold, and my starter Pokemon of choice in there, I could have swore I was going to pick Chikorita. That's really what I thought I was going to pick leading up to it, but for some reason, when I saw those 3 Pokeballs shaking and shimmering and doing whatever they do, something about that Totodile really reached out to me, and so Totodile was actually my very first starter Pokemon when it came to Heart Gold. Of course, my history with Pokemon goes farther back than Heart Gold. We used to watch the cartoons together, my brother and I, and even before I got Heart Gold, he got Diamond and Pearl in the same birthday, one for my friend and one for my parents, and he wouldn't let me play either of them until he beat both of them. So I was like, I used to get so, I was really upset about that at the time. But yeah, I'll just say that Pokemon has definitely been something that started off in my childhood and that I still really enjoy to this day. So the kind of trend that I've seen going around is people kind of explaining or talking through their, maybe not necessarily their ideal Pokemon team, but like what they think their realistic Pokemon team would be. Some of them are a little bit more realistic than others, so I tried to keep mine as realistic as possible. Now I understand that different Pokemon are found in different regions of the Pokemon world, and therefore our world maybe, if this was to be a reality. But, I tried to stick with the ones that I thought reasonably maybe could be found in my area. So I'm going to take you through today what my ideal realistic Pokemon team would look like. I'm going to start off with most of their first evolutions as to like where I would probably get them. Of course, as time went on, they would probably end up leveling up, evolving, and such. But I'm going to kind of introduce them as their first evolution where I would actually meet this Pokemon. All right, starting off with number 1 is my girl Eevee. I absolutely adore Eevee. She is my absolute favorite Pokemon. I know it's a little bit of a cliche, a girl that likes Eevee, but I love Eevee and I love just all the things that she represents, all the possibilities when it comes to her evolution. I don't know if I would ever actually make her evolve into something different just because I love Eevee so much. But if I was to look at Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon when it comes to those first initial evolutions, I think I probably would end up picking Flareon. Possibly Vaporeon, but I think Flareon would be my go-to. But Eevee is my girl. She would be my very first Pokemon. The second Pokemon I would add on to my team is Psyduck. Psyduck is absolutely adorable. You can tell I grew up watching the first generation Pokemon movies and TV shows, and Misty Psyduck, just something about it always stuck with me. I absolutely adored how silly, how goofy he was. I just thought he was the most adorable thing in the whole entire world. Kind of connect it back to the real world. I grew up in a bit of a hobby farm myself. My family always had different kinds of animals, not ducks until more recently, but it wouldn't be that far out to think that if we were in the world of Pokemon, my family would have ended up hatching out some Psyduck Pokemon, maybe some little Psyduck chicklings, and I would have maybe taken one under my wing, so to say. Also, for quite a few years before I actually found my real calling in life, I really wanted to be a veterinarian, actually. And so I can imagine my younger version of myself seeing this little poor Psyduck with his headache and thinking, yeah, I can cure that. I feel bad for him and trying to cure him of his headache. Wouldn't be successful, but I would have tried. Pokemon number 3, I actually kind of went back and forth on this one, but I think I'm going to go with a Ponyta. I was always a bit of a horse girly, especially in my younger years. I had a pony actually at one point in time myself, my little mustache, his name was Mustache. And so I've always been a bit of a horse girly whether it was playing with like little horse figurines when I was younger, or watching like Spirit. Spirit was my favorite, one of my favorites when I was younger. So I think getting a Ponyta would just have been something that I would have naturally gravitated towards in the world of Pokemon in my youth. Plus, when he evolves into a Rapidash, like how awesome and cool would that be to be able to ride around a Rapidash? So that's where we're going to go with Ponyta for number 3. For number 4, it would be a Vulpix because I am a dog girl. I love cats too, don't get me wrong, but I have always been a dog girl. I love my puppies, I love my big dogs, little dogs, whatever dogs. I love my dogs, and Vulpix, while kind of resembling a fox, definitely gives me that dog energy. I know Growlithe gives more dog energy than Vulpix, but something about Vulpix really speaks to me, and while Growlithe is cute, Vulpix would be my pick. Also, she evolves into Ninetales, so like, can't go wrong there. My 5th Pokemon would be a Deerling. Now, this is actually the only one I think that doesn't come from first generation. I think there is a deer Pokemon. I don't know if it's in the first generation, but there is a deer Pokemon in towards like the beginning generations. What is it called? Stanford or something like that? I can't remember for sure. But I went with the Deerling just because they come as like a little fawn. And I think that is just adorable. And again, to link it back to that realistic side of it is that my family definitely grew up in the countryside, you know, with our little hobby farm. And so the idea of having a little baby deer as my Pokemon is absolutely adorable. Plus they come in a lot of fun little pastel foresty colors. So I think I would like that. All right, and for number 6, I actually don't have anything. Well, there's so many other Pokemon that I consider putting on my list. Poliwag, Cubone. Oh my gosh, I love Cubone. Whenever I played Pokemon games as a kid, like on my DS with Heart Gold, I always would, for some reason, leave that final slot open because eventually, you know, you find the legendary and you have to have the legendary in your party. But I just felt so bad putting Pokemon into like the Pokébox, and I felt bad. I'm an empath. I felt that so bad putting the little Pokemon inside the Pokemon box that I wouldn't get a 6th Pokemon until I reached the legendary area because I didn't want to feel bad and put one of the Pokemon inside the Pokebox. So that is why for my 6th Pokemon, I'm actually going to leave that spot empty just because there's always going to be a part of me that's like, well, what if something comes along? But of course, there's honorable mentions as well. A Togepi would be absolutely adorable. I think a Clefairy would be really fun to have, or a Chansey as well. Again, there's so many other cool Pokemon, but I think for the sake of staying true to myself and what I did in the Pokemon games, I'm going to leave my 6th slot of my Pokemon team empty because that's just what I do. And so with that 6th slot being reserved for the Pokemon that is yet to be captured, yet to be met, that concludes my Pokemon realistic ideal Pokemon team. Just as a quick review, we have Eevee, Psyduck, Ponyta, Vulpix, and then finally that Deerling. It was really hard to come up with all of these, not because there wasn't like a million Pokemon out there, but like it was hard to actually like sit and think about, you know, what would be realistic with me, what would be realistic with my lifestyle, what would be something that I actually could have came across in the wild should Pokemon have been a real reality, you know. But it was a lot of fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different than I usually would do, but it was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my realistic Pokemon team. Now I am extremely curious about what your realistic or ideal Pokemon team would be, or if not even if a team, maybe you just have like 1 or 2 really great friends that are Pokemon that you'd want to have traveling around with you. Leave them down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what your team looks like. Speaking of adding new members to your team, this is Dottie's new little sister. This is Hamper. She is a miniature dachshund. She is just a little baby. She's only 1 month old, but I just want to show her off to you guys. She probably won't know. Big tongue, big yawn. She's got that puppy breath smell. Oh, so she probably won't be on screen a whole lot. But I just wanted to show her off to you. So if you ever are hearing, she reminds me of Kirby there. If you're ever seeing like little, if you're ever hearing little foot patters in the background of my video, and you're hearing multiple dog yippings, just know that it is Dottie and Hamper just playing together. So I've got 2 little girls now that are my babies. They're sweethearts. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed meeting little Hamper. Dottie absolutely adores her. She's gonna take a nap in my arms for a little bit as I do this outro. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being such amazing supporters. Thanks for letting me try something new, something just chatting to the camera. If there's something you'd like to see me do in the future, please make sure you're giving that thumbs up. If you have not already, hitting subscribe if you're not already subscribed, which why wouldn't you be? And of course, leaving that comment, letting me know what is your ideal Pokemon team, or what would your realistic Pokemon teammates be? I would be very curious to know. I was always a bit of a water girly, and so I was really surprised that when I went back and looked through my Pokemon that I didn't have very many watery type Pokemon besides the Psyduck. But I think that, come my honorable mentions definitely do fall into that water type. All right, that's where I'm going to leave it here, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. All right, bye.